ਬਾਬੂਸ਼ਾਹੀ ਦੇਖ ਰਹੇ ਹੋ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਅੱਜ IDC यानी कि इंस्टीट्यूट फॉर डिवेलपमेंट एंड कम्युनिकेशन चंडीगढ़ विखे बांग्लादेश ते एक खास लैक्चर रखा गया जिथे डिस्कशन हुई है तो खास तौर पर प्रोफैसर डेविड टेलर जड़े ने लंडन नाल संबंध रखते हैं वो पहुँचे ने तो उन्होंने कई मुद्दे जड़े विचारे ने जिस तरह के नाल बांग्लादेश आर्थिक संकट होवे धार्मिक संकट होवे जिन्ना हालातों तो संघर्षों तो इस वेले सफ़र कर रहा तो उहदे की इंप्लीकेशनस हो सकते हैं उहदे की प्रभाव पै सकते हैं होरां मुल्कां ते भी इंडिया होवे या होर बाकी दे मुल्क होण स्पैशली साउथ एशियन कंट्रीज़ ने तो उस बारे गलबात जिहड़ी कीती है तो की मेन डिस्कशनस हुई है जिहड़े शामिल होए सीगे इस लैक्चर दे विच उन्हां नाल गलबात करके जानते हैं।
And my phone rang and it was Dr. Kumar. He had heard that I was coming and was very pressing that he wanted me to talk about Bangladesh. I demurred at first because I said, actually, I don't really know very much about the situation, but he insisted. So what I'm going to do today is perhaps to raise questions without giving any very specific answers. I'm not sure that those answers we can give yet. A situation of political upheaval, transformation, will always leave many loose ends. We can think of many other examples. But it did actually lead me to reflect on what is the basis on which one can talk about a political crisis. Just being in the country itself was not sufficient. One has one's work to do. I was administering academic programs for our students, and one would read the daily newspaper, a daily newspaper that frankly, because of the way that the press had been muzzled, was not particularly insightful. And one would talk to colleagues occasionally, but we didn't really go into any great detail about what was going on. We took for granted that the Awami League was a somewhat autocratic regime. But I don't think 2 years ago, if I had conducted a straw poll, people would have said, but just wait, there's going to be this huge upheaval. So it came not exactly out of the blue, but when it came, the timing was accidental. And I'll say something about that in a little while. So, by the way, I don't speak Bangla, so that too limits the number of sources that I could draw on.
I also joined in 1974 the Department of Political Science as a student, and he was fellow there in the department this political science. So at that time one didn't get much opportunity to interact with him, but when I went there in London to his office, so I remember having long conversations with him on separatist movement in Punjab, and he was nice enough to introduce me to some of the researchers who were based in London but very active in Punjab, and one researcher having intense engagement based on the assumptions drawn from, there was a very renowned author at that time, she was quite in circulation, Joyce Pettigrew, and her famous work was on the robber noblemen of Punjab, and with a radical and this researcher was very much in touch with radical leader Bindra, and this researcher narrated to me a number of stories of her interaction. I am forgetting her name, but nevertheless it was quite educative to understand the perspective coming from scholars and researchers based in London and how they see these whole problems. Pettigrew was the author of Robert Nobleman, and this researcher was trying to extend her assumptions to study the problem of Khalistan and then interacting with Bindra. So I'm correlating the name of the researcher to Professor Taylor's scholarship reflects a deep understanding of the complexities of South Asian political and social realities. He examined how British colonial policies such as census, classification, and legal frameworks reinforced religious, caste, and ethnic divisions.
So I am David Taylor, Professor of Political Science, and I have been looking at the situation in Bangladesh for the last few months, and it's a moment of transition. It was a revolt against an autocratic and dictatorial regime, but we really don't know which direction the country is going to go, whether it's going to revert to the policies of the Awami League and the BNP, or whether the transitional government under Professor Yunus is going to find some other way of expressing the values that the students hold who took part in the movement against the government. I enjoyed listening to the students' questions. There was an interest in the role of the Jamaat-e-Islami and whether one possible direction for Bangladesh was going to be towards greater emphasis on Islam or whether liberal values were going to prevail. And it was certainly true that the Jamaat-e-Islami did play a significant part in the student movement, but we don't yet know what the outcome will be.
So, are you seeing any impact on India if we talk about future?
Sorry, any impact on?
Impact regarding what happening in Bangladesh?
Yes. Well, what is happening in Bangladesh is going to lead to some changes in their relations with other countries, with India in particular. There won't be the same close relationship perhaps that there was before. But there's also concern about the situation of the minorities, the Hindu minority, and we just have to hope that the new regime, when it emerges, will go back to Bangladesh's emphasis on secularism.
मैं प्रोफेसर दीपक कुमार सिंह मैं पंजाब यूनिवर्सिटी डिपार्टमेंट ऑफ पोलिटिकल साइंस ਤੋਂ ਪੜ੍ਹਾਉਂਦਾ ਅੱਜ ਦਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਮੁੱਦਾ ਸੀਗਾ ਉਹ ਸੀਗਾ ਕਿ ਇਹ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਬੰਗਲਾਦੇਸ਼ 'ਚ ਚੇਂਜ ਹੋਇਆ ਹੈ ਹਲੇ ਪੋਲੀਟੀਕਲ ਚੇਂਜ ਹੋਇਆ ਹੈ ਰਿਜੀਮ ਚੇਂਜ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਹੋ ਗਿਆ ਉਹ ਕਿਉਂ ਹੋਇਆ ਠੀਕ ਹੈ ਉਹਦੇ ਪਿੱਛੇ ਕੀ ਫੈਕਟਰ ਸੀਗੇ ਤਾਂ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਗੱਲ ਬਾਹਰ ਨਿਕਲ ਕੇ ਆਈ ਉਹ ਇਹ ਸੀਗੀ ਕਿ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਕੋਟਾ ਸਿਸਟਮ ਉੱਥੇ ਇੰਟਰੋਡਿਊਸ ਕੀਤਾ ਗਿਆ ਸੀ ਰੀਸੈਂਟਲੀ ਬਾਈ ਹਾਈ ਕੋਰਟ ਨੇ ਕੀਤਾ ਸੀ ਉਹ 'ਚ ਕੀ ਹੋਇਆ ਕਿ 30% ਸੀਟਸ ਰਿਜ਼ਰਵਡ ਹੋ ਗਏ ਸੀਗੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਫਰੀडम ਫਾਈਟਰਸ ਦੇ ਚਿਲਡਰਨ ਤੇ ਗ੍ਰੈਂਡ ਚਿਲਡਰਨ ਲਈ ਤਾਂ this became a problem, a serious problem in Bangladesh because there is a large scale unemployment in Bangladesh right now, highest unemployment rate in the whole of South Asia, and the students were very unhappy with this movement. So this whole movement started as a protest, as a peaceful protest against the reintroduction of quota system. Even though the Supreme Court cancelled that reservation and brought it down to 5%, but still the students did not stop. And the reason for that was that Sheikh Hasina, the former Prime Minister of Bangladesh, used very harsh expression, calling the students traitors. Right? That is something which hit them hard. And they said, nothing doing now, we are going to, make sure that Hasina doesn't remain the Prime Minister of the country anymore. And we will reform, we will bring in political reform in the country. And that is their agenda. They want to, make a new beginning for Bangladesh. And I personally think that, this might help strengthen the democratic roots in Bangladesh with the new alternative political platform which the students may come up with will put an end to the two-party dominant system which was prevailing in Bangladesh.
ਜਿਹੜੇ ਪ੍ਰੋਫੈਸਰ ਡੇਵਿਡ ਟੇਲਰ ਜੀ ਆਏ ਸੀ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਖਾਸ ਤੌਰ ਤੇ ਕੀ ਸਿੱਟਾ ਕੱਢਿਆ ਕਿਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਦੇ ਸਵਾਲ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਫੇਸ ਕਰਨੇ ਪਏ ਤੇ ਕੀ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਮਤਲਬ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਜਵਾਬ ਸੀਗੇ ਤੇ ਉਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ
हाँ प्रोफेसर डेविड टेलर ने काफ़ी अच्छा प्रेजेंटेशन दिया और उन्होंने सब कुछ बताने की कोशिश की कि क्यों ये मूवमेंट वहाँ पे हुआ और उन्होंने सवाल बहुत सारे किए और वो सवाल बहुत लेजिटिमेट सवाल्स थे क्योंकि अभी कुछ भी सर्टेनिटी से कहना कि बांग्लादेश में क्या होगा ये संभव नहीं है और ये संभव इसलिए नहीं है कि जब हम बांग्लादेश की हिस्ट्री को देखते हैं तो वहाँ पे बहुत सारे चेंजेस होते रहे हैं 71 से लेके आज तक। तो उन्होंने सवाल बहुत खड़े किए कि इनके इम्प्लिकेशंस क्या होगा जो मूवमेंट चल रहा है वहाँ पे, सिर्फ बांग्लादेश के लिए ही नहीं बल्कि साउथ एशिया के लिए भी, और बांग्लादेश की रिलेशनशिप जो होगी वो इंडिया के साथ कैसी होगी, ठीक है, चाइना के साथ कैसी होगी। तो तमाम चीज़ों में जो बदलाव आने की संभावना है उन पे उन्होंने बात की।